You know, some cases just get under your skin. You know what I mean? They just stick with you.
Yeah, for sure.
And the Beaumont Children, that's one of those cases. It's been decades, and Australia is still obsessed.
Right. It's just,
So today, let's try and unpack this. Why does this one case, out of so many, have such a hold on us?
I think it's, well, for me, it's how a day can just go from totally normal to a nightmare so fast.
Yeah. Okay.
Because Australia Day, 1966, picture it. Sunny Glenelg Beach near Adelaide.
Beautiful.
Seems perfect,
Yeah.
right? But for the Beaumonts, that was the beginning of hell.
Yeah, we're talking 9-year-old Jane, 7-year-old Arna, and little Grant, who's only 4.
So young.
Just a normal family beach trip and then gone.
The thing is, Jane, the oldest, she was known to be really responsible, always looking after her younger brother and sister.
Which makes it even weirder.
Totally.
So, okay, what do we actually know happened? Give us the timeline.
Well, that's the first puzzle, right?
Yeah.
And it's got these huge missing pieces. So they went to the beach, not far from home, a walk they did all the time.
Familiar.
Last anyone sure they saw them is around lunchtime.
Okay.
Bus back was supposed to be 2.3. They weren't there.
Oh?
Parents, Jim and Nancy, went to meet the bus, and that's when, you know,
It hits you.
every parent's worst fear.
Totally. And then there's the stuff they found. Towels, a bag, even Jane's swimsuit folded up in a suitcase?
Right. That's not right.
Doesn't sound like kids running off to play.
No. This is where it gets interesting.
Okay.
If they'd wandered off, got lost, had an accident, wouldn't you think those things would be all over?
Yeah, makes sense.
But they're all together, almost like someone packed them up.
Okay, now that's creepy.
It is a bit, yeah.
All right, so witnesses. There had to be people on that beach. Someone must have seen something.
Tons of people, right. But this is the problem. Memory is so unreliable.
Right, especially
Especially in a stressful situation.
Exactly.
So you have folks saying they saw a guy, 30s, tanned. Well, that could be half the beach that day.
So super vague, could be anyone. Were there any details that were more specific that stood out?
A couple of things popped up. One person said they saw this man offering money to kids, said he'd lost his dog, needed help finding it. Another one saw a man walking with the kids. Now, we don't know if these connect or even if they matter.
Right, it's like these tiny pieces, but no idea what the picture is supposed to be.
Exactly.
But I imagine the police, back then, this must have been a huge deal for them.
Massive search, volunteers everywhere. The whole country was watching this.
Yeah, it makes sense.
You got to remember, this was before child abductions were on the news all the time.
Right, this was shocking.
It was huge.
But then, the biggest mystery of all, no trace of them. Ever. How does that even happen?
That's the thing about beaches. It's what makes it so hard. Sand shifts. Tides come in and out.
Yeah.
Evidence can just disappear. Could be key stuff got washed away, gone forever.
So we're left with, what, a ton of questions and barely any answers?
Basically.
Which takes us to, I guess, the theories. Was it someone they knew? A stranger?
Well, one of the strongest theories is that whoever took them knew that beach.
Okay.
There was no sign of a fight. No one broke into their house.
So someone who knew the place.
If you knew the beach, their routine, it'd be easy to,
Take advantage. Creepy. And what about, did they think it could be a serial abductor kind of thing?
Oh, for sure. Especially later, as they started doing more of that criminal profiling stuff.
Yeah, right.
The idea that there's someone out there targeting kids, fitting a certain type, it's scary, but it does happen.
And of course, there's the theory that it was just like a random act of violence, just a horrible, awful thing. But that doesn't really fit with the belongings all packed up, does it?
No, it does seem like more planning went into this, but honestly, it's so complicated you can't rule anything out completely.
So were there any suspects, anyone who really stood out to the police?
There's one name that comes up a lot, Harry Phipps.
Yep.
He owned a factory in the area back in the 70s, and he had a record, some offenses.
Okay.
But, got to be clear, he was never charged, and there's nothing solid linking him to the kids.
Right, right. We don't want to get lost in speculation here.
Yeah.
Was there anything about him that made him a person of interest, though?
You know how it is with cases like this? You want to name someone to blame.
Yeah, you want to make sense of it.
But a lot of times, it's not that simple.
Right.
With Phipps, there were some things, rumors, but nothing you could really hold on to.
So another piece that doesn't fit, I know there's all kinds of like wilder theories too, right?
Yeah.
Like pedophile rings or the kids were taken out of the country.
Oh, yeah, you always get those.
Did anyone take those seriously?
I think those kind of theories come from fear, people wanting answers so bad.
It's understandable.
Yeah. But you got to stick to what you can prove, and in this case, there's just nothing to support those ideas.
So we're left with, what, a huge mystery all these years later? Have there been any new leads, anything that could help solve this?
There's definitely been more interest in the case recently.
Yeah.
A lot of people are hoping, with all the DNA stuff that's advanced.
Right, that's going to help. Right.
You'd think so, but even with all that tech, it's not that easy.
How come?
Well, time is the big problem.
Okay.
Evidence breaks down, it gets messed up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And even if you find some DNA, you got to have something to compare it to.
You need a suspect.
Exactly.
It's like having the answer, but not knowing the question.
Yeah, pretty much.
And can you imagine the Beaumont family all these years not knowing?
It's got to be the worst thing ever.
Just awful.
The kids, if they were alive today, they'd be in their 60s.
Wow.
Think about it. All those birthdays, holidays, everything they've missed.
Just heartbreaking.
It really makes you think about how one event can affect so many people.
Totally. Not just the family, the whole community. Glen Elk Beach, I bet it felt different after that.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that feeling of safety just gone.
Yeah, like you realize bad things can happen anywhere.
It makes you question everything.
It does. And I think that feeling can stick around for a long time.
Makes you wonder, how do people ever really get over something like this?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I think part of it is just facing it, admitting that something awful happened.
Not pretending it away.
But you also got to hold on to hope.
For answers, for justice.
Exactly. Hope that it never happens again.
It's tough holding on to that hope, but still remembering how bad things can be.
It is.
It makes you think, back then, forensics wasn't what it is now.
Oh, nowhere near.
If this happened today, you think they'd have a better shot at figuring it out.
Oh, absolutely. The stuff they can do now is incredible.
Like what?
They can analyze the tiniest bit of DNA. They can find relatives of suspects, even if they don't have the suspect's DNA.
Wow.
They can even reconstruct faces from bones.
That's amazing. But I guess even with all that, some cases, they just don't get solved.
Yeah, that's true.
Technology can only do so much.
It still takes good detectives.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just need luck.
So that's what keeps this case so interesting, I guess. Even with all our technology, some mysteries, we just can't crack them.
It's what draws you in, right?
Yeah.
The human story, trying to find the truth, even when it's so hard to get.
It reminds us that not everything has a neat ending.
Sometimes it's the questions that matter more.
That's a good point. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Beaumont case, what do you think? What's the lasting impact of something like this?
For me, it's how this one event, it just casts such a huge shadow.
Yeah.
Not just on the family, but the community, the whole country.
Yeah.
It makes you realize we don't know everything. We can't control everything.
It's scary.
It is. And it makes you try to make sense of something that doesn't make sense.
You're right. It's a story that really stays with you. And you think about the Beaumont family, they've carried this with them for so long.
It's a testament to how strong they are.
It is.
And it shows you how powerful hope is.
Never giving up.
Believing that maybe, somehow, there's an answer out there.
That's what we have to hold on to, right?
I think so.
It's a good reminder that even when we don't have all the answers, we can still keep searching. We can still hope.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's the most important thing we can take away from a case like this. Never give up on the truth, even when it seems impossible to find.
It's true. And, you know, what really gets to me about this case is how, like, normal it all was.
Yeah.
A beach, a sunny day.
Yeah.
You know, supposed to be a happy place.
You'd never think.
And then just gone like that.
It's like it makes you realize no matter what, you're not really in control.
Yeah. And for parents, that's got to be the scariest thing.
It makes you think maybe we should all be paying more attention, you know? Not just to our own lives, but to what's going on around us.
Be more present.
Like, what if anyone on that beach, had just noticed something, anything?
It's hard not to think about that. The what ifs.
Yeah.
But we can't change the past.
No.
What we can do is learn from it, be more careful, more connected to our communities.
Look out for each other.
Exactly. Not because we're scared, but because it's the right thing to do.
That's a good way to put it. In the end, even with all the darkness, it's that human connection that matters most.
It really is.
Yeah.
And even though we may never know exactly what happened to those kids, their story, it still means something.
It
It
does.
reminds us that life is fragile,
Yeah.
you know, and that hope is important,
Yeah.
and that we can't stop looking for answers even when it seems impossible.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, we'll leave you to think about the Beaumont children and all the questions that still surround their case. Keep digging, read more about it, and come to your own conclusions. Maybe someday we'll finally know the truth. But until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and stay safe out there.